Hello, everybody. This is Beth Worsdell, author. This is the Witty Writers Show. And as you can see, we have the fabulous Autumn Bardot with us today. Hello, Autumn.
Hello. Hello.
How are you, darling?
I am wonderful. I am wonderful. Thank you.
I am so glad to hear that, darling. It's been a while since we've done anything like this and sort of caught up. Obviously, you know, pandemic and everything else going on. It's been a crazy time. But I'm so chuffed to have you, darling.
So excited. We were supposed to do this live together, but
I know that for those of you who are just joining us, please say hello. But we were hoping to be in the same room today, weren't we, Autumn?
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, there's so many cases of COVID where my husband works and stuff going on. I didn't want a chance making anyone sick and vice versa. So we're playing it on the safe side today, aren't we, Autumn?
Yes, we are. And Beth, I have a question for you. Oh, there it is. I was looking for comments. Okay. Hello, Ingrid. I was going to say, where are the comments?
They're coming in slowly but surely.
Okay, great.
We have got Ingrid, as you said. There we go. Hi, Ingrid. Thank you for joining us, darling. It's lovely to see you. Ingrid is a new friend and author. Okay. So thank you for joining us. And I've tried to, I was saying to you before we went live, Autumn, I'm trying to be a bit organized. So I actually sent the link to all the relevant places.
Okay.
So I can actually see it so people can click on it directly. Woo woo. I'm so relieved.
Technology is awesome if you know how to use it.
I know, right? Ingrid sent a nice wave. Oh, thank you very much, my darling. It's been a busy time for you since I spoke to you last and did an author interview. You've been up to all sorts.
All sorts of things, yes. Since I think we started, I just with COVID and working from home virtually, I started a YouTube channel for new writers.
Do you know what? I got to say, I'm one of your subscribers. I've been avidly watching, and it's absolutely fantastic. For the viewers that haven't met Autumn before, I'm going to give you a quick bit of information about this fabulous lady before we talk about your YouTube. You're an English educator, so you teach students who are literally right at the top of the game.
Yeah.
Not that always makes your job any easier. But Autumn, you write historical fiction novels and historical erotic novels as well, which are hot. I've got to tell you, if you want something that's, you know, factual, dramatic, grips you and won't let go, with a bit of hot, you need to check out Autumn's books, I've got to tell you. But also you write urban fantasy as well, which, you know, is in the paranormal genre, which is fantastic. So you have this massive wealth of experience as a teacher and an author, and you're now paying it forward and doing your amazing YouTube channel to give help and tips and advice to other authors.
And that's exactly what I did. I wanted to find a way to pay it forward, because I come from, you know, literature, you know, from an academic kind of standpoint. But then also as an author, there's a whole lot of real life stuff that, you know, people need to know. And so I thought I'm coming at it from both, you know, the literature degree person and then the teacher person and then the author person. And so I thought it's time to just, you know, pay it forward, because I see so many writers on Facebook and Twitter, and they're asking the questions, awesome questions, usually the same questions. And I'm thinking, I can help you. So it was a great way for me to just be able to give back and share kind of my knowledge and my experiences.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I'm going to pop some comments up here because we've got lots of people joining us right now. We've got Josephine. She's joined us from Devon, my hometown in England. We've also got Anna. Hi, Anna. Thank you for joining us, darling. We've also got Joyce. She's joined us. She says, "Hey, Beth Worsdell, great seeing you, girlfriend. You rock." I love her. Do you know what? I've got to give Joyce a little mention here, actually. I hope you don't mind, Autumn, because she's been battling stage 4 cancer for so many years now. She is the strongest, most amazing woman I've ever known. So hat off to you, Joyce. We're sending you lots of love, my darling. She is fabulous. We've also got Marie. She says hi from Spain.
Wow.
I know we're getting around, Autumn. We're getting around. What can I tell you?
Spain is on my bucket list.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yes.
Spain is beautiful. Definitely need to do that. We've also got Leslie. Hi, Leslie. She says, yay, a history teacher writing fiction like me. She's fabulous. I love Leslie. Leslie's also been interviewed as well, so you can see her author interview on my page.
Awesome.
And we've also got Shakura. Hello, darling. She's from Burbank, and she's a fan of Autumn Bardots. I love it. I love it. Oh, hang on. There we go. Marie says, come, please.
Okay, I will. You know what? My husband is fluent in Spanish, so right there, game on.
That is fantastic. Do you know, I don't know about you, but I'm always one of those people that when I go to a foreign country, I always have to try. I can't help it. I feel like it's rude if you don't. And then when you try and say something in that language, and then all of a sudden they go, blah, 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 blah. You just get that glazed over look, don't you? As if say, I have no clue what you're telling me right now. But I think they appreciate people trying, which is the main thing.
Oh, yeah.
I really do. Leslie is waving. Bless her heart. She is absolutely fabulous. I've got to stop saying that, by the way. Bless your heart. I mean it as a sincere thing, you know, you're lovely sort of endearment. But apparently in the South, it's not good if you say something like that. It's a bit of an insult. I've got to stop saying it because I don't want to offend anybody, Autumn. Oh my gosh. Ingrid says, yep, we do. She's a native Spanish speaker as well. I wish I could learn, Autumn, but I've got the memory like Dory from Nemo, unfortunately. Now getting...
I can't speak at all. My husband doesn't really, not teaching me. He just kind of laughs whenever I say anything, but I can tell my students to sit down and shut up in Spanish.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Now, getting back to your fantastic YouTube channel and what you were saying before, I absolutely understand what you mean about your videos being about real life as a writer. I watched your most recent one actually this morning. It was all to do with time management, you know, and juggling work and writing and kids and writing, and it is difficult to try and juggle all that and find the time to actually fit it all in. So videos like that are fantastic.
Yeah, I like to, in my YouTube channel, I really like to discuss basically just like, you know, writing craft and then all the other author stuff. I feel like there's different categories, right? So you have like the basic craft of writing a novel, but then you have all the stuff that goes with it that's just so beyond craft. And it's things like finding time when you work full time, you know, and, you know, if you're a mom and you're a stay-at-home mom with kids, you know, I did that and that's full time too. That's more than full time. That's 24-hour time. So I think it's really difficult for us to kind of, because it's not just writing, it's everything else in the mix. You know, it's that we have to be promoters and we have to do so many other different things in the author field that I think when somebody says, oh, I'm going to write a book, you're just like, okay, big climb up that hill. You can do it.
I know some people, bless them. I will hold my hands up. When I first realized that I was writing a novel, I had no clue as to what it involved. I mean, the whole process has been one ginormous learning curve. And even now, 3 books later, I mean, I'm nowhere near as established as you are, but I'm still learning every day. And I was saying to you that we had a quick little natter, didn't we, before we went live? I have just discovered that last night, I was up very late, that I can actually upload our interviews to Goodreads. And I was like, yes, I've learned something else new. So for you authors who are watching, go on Goodreads, and if you do any interviews or you do any trailers for your books, you can upload them to Goodreads. And it was actually easier than I thought. I got to tell you, Autumn, I was like, yes.
That's good. 'Cause sometimes it just, you get lost in like the abyss and you don't come out for a long time.
Exactly. But I absolutely love your videos. They're so well done. They really are. And you're a bit of a pro, I've got to tell you. I was really impressed.
It's been a learning curve, and I'm just basic with the technology. I'm just kind of basic, and I wish I could do more. And I had my son-in-law tell me, you can do this and you can do that. I'm like, yeah, but I'm also writing books and working. So this is what I'm doing for the YouTube.
I know, right? You're absolutely right. There's just never enough hours in the day. We've got some more people joining us, so awesome. I'm going to pop them up here. We've also got Wanda who's joined us. Hello, Wanda, darling. Wanda is the founder of Writers Rock and Writers Rock Readers. She's fabulous, and she's popping out books like they're going out of fashion, and they're getting good reviews. So that's brilliant. We've also Marie said, yeah, to Spain, come when you can.
Thank you, Marie. Thank you. Thank you so much. That means a lot, because I'm just like small potatoes now. And, you know, whenever somebody subscribes, I'm like, yay, another subscription.
I know I tell you, people don't realize how much it means to you when you put all that hard work into something, whether it be your books or your marketing or your videos, your interviews. Everything takes so much work and effort. It's nice to get that little bit of feedback, isn't it?
It is. Can I ask? I'm gonna answer Leslie's question.
Oh, hang on, let me find it and pop it up here. Hang on, Leslie. Oh, there we go. No, wrong one. There we go. I had a new comment come in just as I clicked.
Okay, I'm reading them along the side. Okay,
yeah.
So Leslie, I actually live in Southern California. Actually, Beth and I live about, maybe half a mile away. And I teach English literature and writing, but I teach them at in that international level. So my kids take international exams. So it's higher than AP. So they have to dig deep into the books. Yeah.
They're very clever kids.
Yeah, they're smart kids. But you know, they're like any other kids. They sometimes they don't like to read.
Unfortunately, we're all in the gaming and online culture, aren't we? So it's a bit of a struggle. Wanda says, excuse me, I'm over here in the corner, LOL. Bless her heart. I've got to tell you,
Leslie, that's what I teach, IB.
Yes.
I don't usually say that because most people go, international baccalaureate, what? So
that is so funny. Autumn says, Marie says, I love Autumn's videos. So there we go. You've got a recommendation there. They are absolutely fantastic. Edwards has just joined us. Hi, Edward. He says, I have witnessed many writers once published who are freaked out when they find out that they have to promote. Successful indie writers have found that out, usually a rough lesson.
Well, here's the thing, Edward, you're right on. And I'm both traditionally published and indie published. My historical erotica is traditionally published by Class Press. You know, they kind of give you access to a lot of different things and set up a lot of different things, but you have like really not a whole lot of say on cover or price. You have zero say on price or categories. I mean, you send it stuff in, who knows what they're going to end up doing. But the indie stuff, I feel that I can do a whole lot more with in terms of advertising. So that's kind of, I feel like an author can do a lot more. They can drop their price lower or higher or whatever it needs to be. And because you control all of that stuff. But because if you click on my author page, all my books populate the historical fiction and the historical erotica. And that's usually like when people ask me for a link, I give them the author link, because then you see all of those books there.
Yeah. I think that was the biggest shock for me. I mean, obviously, as a completely indie writer, I understood that I would have to do everything myself, but I don't think you realize how much work it is until you have to start doing it. And it's a daily thing, isn't it? Because you're in the same situation also, even though your publisher, actively promotes your historical fiction and everything. With regards to your urban fantasy, as an indie author in that aspect, you're still having to do marketing, promotion, and everything else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have to do all of that. And I actually have a YouTube clip, a YouTube video, maybe, I don't know, in a couple weeks it might be posted, about different things about how I manage that and what I do for all of that. Yeah, no, Ingrid, I didn't make a whole lot of money with my trad contract. I didn't. I tell people I make more a month on my indie stuff than I did on my trad. But then, I'm not, the big time authors are making a lot of money. And I even know a lot of people who are on the New York Times bestseller list, historical fiction authors, and they still have to keep their day job.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that tells me that you're just, unless you are, some huge author, you're not retiring anytime soon on the beach. And
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's a lot of hard work. We just got some more comments. Leslie says, I've taught AP, Dual, and IB, so I feel your pain. She knows what you're talking about. Edward says, notice the keyword successful. Absolutely. It just takes perseverance, doesn't it? And consistency.
And I really think it's what a person deems successful too. I think it's a great word. It's also a vague word for a lot of people. So, I know a lot of people who are doing indie right now and they're making, I don't know, $10,000, $20,000 a month. Okay. Yeah. I'm not doing that, but I'm also not putting in all that money into Amazon, the AMS ads. But for me, I'm getting money and making money every month. I'm in bookstores, I do fun things like this. And so for me, and I love to write. And so for me, if I'm selling books and I'm writing, then I'm happy. I'm
exactly.
Good.
Yeah, exactly. Ingrid says indie rocks. Absolutely. Edward says, now you're talking, make money as an indie and have more control. There are definitely pros and cons to both, aren't there? And I think it all depends on, which agent you get picked up by, what publishing house, and how much money they're going to spend on you to get you out there. So there are pros and cons. We were talking about this recently. There are an awful lot of big authors who are now going indie, which is great. However, they've already got themselves out there. It's easier for them to do that because they've already had all those thousands or sometimes millions of publishing, promotion, and marketing already spent on them. So for them to go indie, it's an easy decision because they've already got their fan base.
And their fans don't know that they went indie. And I think for me, when people talk about indie versus trad, because I'll have an indie book sitting with a trad book in a bookstore or in a library, to me, and I lost my train of thought.
Well, it can't tell the difference between the book covers?
Oh, is that they can't tell the difference. So if they can't tell the difference between the trad and the indie, then you're good.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree with you 100% there. We've also got a comment from Ingrid. She said, never made much money with traditional contract. It's one of those things, isn't it? Even sometimes the bigger publishing companies and the bigger agents can get it wrong. It's not guaranteed, is it, Autumn? It depends on if they go down the wrong marketing route, it can be bum deal, not get anywhere. I don't think there's any guarantees either way.
Yeah, it's nice to have an agent and it's nice to get an agent. But right now, the world of agents and contracts is just, it's a crazy, just the books, the publishing houses are merging. There's a lot going on. And right now they're looking for something. So unless you are writing the book they are looking for whatever reason, they're not interested.
Yeah.
I can see the questions on the side. Can I answer some of them?
Not until I show them, woman. Don't get ahead
Okay.
of them. You can see them, but nobody else.
Okay. No.
I love you, woman. You absolutely. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. We've got Jennifer, who's just joined us. Hello, Jennifer. Nice to see you, darling. Ingrid says, me either, same here. So she agrees with the indie stroke traditional publishing. Edward says, after 70 plus novels, you learn what to do. I think you're probably right there, because I mean, I get so much information from your YouTube videos. I literally get my pen and pad ready when I'm watching your YouTube, because I know that you're going to come out with something like, oh, I didn't know that. I need to write that down. I need to, copy that link you shared and stuff like that. So
if Edward wrote 70, yeah, he's going to know a lot of stuff. He's going to know, he's going to have, a lot of do's and don'ts and things that work and things that don't work, and things that worked back then that will no longer work now, because it's constantly in flux. It's constantly changing.
It is. And even the platforms where we sell our books are constantly changing. So every time, I mean, Amazon have recently done a big revamp, haven't they, on their author portals? And so, you spend another couple of months trying to get used to the whole new system again. You're like, what? Did you have to change it? I was just getting used to what it was before. You can't win. You absolutely can't win. Okay, we've got some more comments here.
Questions. We've got
Likey's just joined us. Look, hello, darling. Thank you for joining us. Leslie says it's hard to promote in-person events during a pandemic. It really is, isn't it? I mean, the stuff that you would normally be doing, Autumn, such as, book signings and, doing these in-person events, it's all gone.
Yeah, here's the thing about the book signings. When I was, because they give you like a marketing team when you're trad published. And, they want you to, contact all the libraries and all the bookstores and try to get a gig. But unless you're big time or somebody in the library, not happening. And also, from what they told me, you don't want to be sitting there all by your lonesome.
Yeah.
With your table and your books going, anybody over here? Anybody? So to me, I kind of like doing it virtually. I find it's easier because, I mean, if you're going to sit at a bookstore or somewhere, people have to you're relying on who's coming by or whatever, who's going to go get in the car to go see you. Whereas if you're on Instagram or Facebook, I mean, I love Instagram. You're there all the time whenever somebody is scrolling. So I kind of, I kind of prefer that than the in-person thing. Even when I did some presentations at the a writers club, I brought my books, but I didn't buy them to sell. I said, if you want to buy them, go on Amazon. But I don't know how many did that, but I know a lot of authors also will go and bring stacks of their books as well. So I don't know. I think it's kind of what you're comfortable with and who's going to show up and where you're at. If where you're at, because I see that a lot of people get gigs at their Barnes and Noble, and my Barnes and Noble is big. I live in like a million people town, a million people, and they don't have time for you unless you're super famous.
Yeah.
So,
and then the other advantage of doing like online events is the fact that you can reach people all over the world. I mean, when you look at us right now, we've got readers and authors who are literally in the UK, we've got Spain, we've got Australia. Everybody's from all over the place, and it's fantastic because you get to connect with more readers, more people, and get
absolutely. I'm a huge fan of Instagram. I've got readers from Italy and from Romania and all over, and I think that's just so cool. And even things like this, like we can see people are all over and they can jump on.
Yeah, exactly.
Really cool.
just so everybody knows, I've actually attached all of Autumn's links. So if you want to check out her books, check out Autumn's YouTube videos, all the links are actually attached to our live sessions. So they are all there. Okay, we've got another comment from Leslie. She says, Autumn, what's your favorite historical period to write about? Oh, that's a good one.
Leslie, I love the medieval period and I love the ancient period. Those are my two favorite periods. I'm not a fan of World War I or World War II. Just I kind of veer away from those. But I do love a medieval and ancient, anything in ancient times. I just find it just fascinating. So I will pick up a lot of books about that. Those are just my favorite.
That is so cool. Now, you've not long released Confessions of a Sheba Queen. Can we have a look at the cover? Because
actually, you can have a look at all of my covers. Okay, so Confessions of a Sheba Queen, that came out last February, and that is traditionally published.
Look at that. That is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous.
So that's out in paperback, of course, ebook, and audio.
Wonderful.
That's audio.
I wish I could do my makeup like the Sheba Queen.
I tried for like a promo. It was horrible. I looked horrible.
I think I'd look like The Walking Dead now.
I'm not 18.
I've got too many wrinkles for that. You've also got Legends of Lust.
Also traditionally published.
Look at that.
That came out about 2 years ago. Facebook told me it came out 2 years ago.
I absolutely love it. So you've just had a book birthday. I love it.
That's a collection of short stories, a short erotic story. So if you like the nasty, and I think that's also an audio too.
Fantastic. We've also got The Impaler's Wife.
Historical fiction, all about Vlad Dracula's real wife who came from Hungary. It's it has some cool reviews. There's some nice reviews from Kirkus. It also is in audio. It's indie published, but Tantor Media called me up and they said, we want to make an audio of this. So this is actually an audio as well.
It is absolutely beautiful. And you must have to do so much research for these books. I can't even imagine.
I actually have video YouTubes on my research process and my writing process, and then how I organize my research.
Yeah.
Because I learned after I think Impaler's Wife that I definitely needed to up my research game because there's so much information. And I've seen a couple people on the chat say, you know, how do you research and everything, that there's so many people that are so much information that if you don't organize it and you're going through your draft, you're like, wait, where was that again? And so I have a pretty specific way that I found that really, really helps me with the organization and the research. And it's actually basically a skill that I used to actually help my kids, or how I taught my kids to write research papers. It's the same thing. So I give those tips in a YouTube channel. One of the tips would be things like when you have a URL, and you for specific information, just drop the URL right into your Word doc. That way you can always come back to it and it's right there and you don't have to go searching for it.
That's a really good tip, because when I was writing book 2 and I started introducing my dragons, because there was like 3 or 4 different, types, I had a nightmare trying to remember which link was for which dragon, stuff like that. So that's a really, really good tip. I really like that. Now, talking about dragons, where is your beautiful Dragon Lady book? I love this one. It's stunning. Now, as you can see by Autumn's books, she does write about very powerful, badass women, and they're true stories. And the reason I wanted Autumn to show us Dragon Lady was specifically because, as some of you may know, there's a new Pirates of the Caribbean coming with a new female Jack Sparrow, and another badass pirate lady. So if you can't wait until the new movie, you need to read Dragon Lady by Autumn Bardot, because it will blow your mind. And it's based on a real woman.
It's based on a real woman, and they almost made a Netflix show out of her a few years ago, but I think they just, I don't know what happened with it. It dropped out, but I was kind of worried, like, no, right?
You might want to send them another message.
So
it's going to get big.
Kicked my butt historically. It kicked my butt. I have just a row back here of stuff that I needed. And the thing, I did spend some serious, I think I dropped about $100 on just one book that had more in the footnotes than anything I had found about, the Chinese pirates at the time. And so it was fascinating. So I really had to be careful because I didn't want to I hate doing, the info drop, the look how much historical fiction I know kind of thing, and just kind of put in those little cool details. But yeah, it's what happened to her is, and in the back of the book, I give who's real, who's not real, and what happened to all of the pirates.
That is so cool. I absolutely love it. I tell you, once this Jack Sparrow and a new Pirates of the Caribbean movie starts getting promoted, I think you're just going to see a massive influx of interest. And as I said, you might want to re-message Netflix because they might want to get in there.
Netflix, here's my book.
Exactly. You never know. You never know. Edward says, for me, it was never about the money. It was about having fun writing. And that's a big thing, isn't it? It's enjoying the journey. And I'm sure you're the same. You enjoy as much hard work as they are. You enjoy writing the books, but also putting it out there and getting the feedback and people's responses.
I love the research. I love the second draft the most. The first draft to me is the toughest because it's the roughest, and I just don't know if that story is going to come together the way I need it to come together. That's probably the toughest draft for me to do. Once I finish that first draft, I'm like, okay, good. Now I get to dive into, all to the nitty gritty things. So yeah, I love every part of the process. Probably my least favorite part of the process is the formatting, but then I don't do the formatting. I have a great formatter who formats my indie stuff, and she does a great job with that. I even like picking out the pictures for the covers. Sometimes that will take a week to find the right cover pick.
Yeah,
I two of them together. Yeah,
I do enjoy that immensely. Absolutely. Edward says that is where you create your brand. His fans around the world can tell his books are on the shelf just by the cover, and yours are very much like that because your books are so well done, they're so classy, and your images really do sum up what your books are about. And I think that's quite a big key thing, isn't it, to be successful, is people want to get that first impression of your book and it be exactly related to your story. It's a big deal. We've got another comment from Marie. She says she spends too much time on research in her historical fiction because she loves the history so much. Do you have the same problem, and how do you resolve it?
I spend about a month researching the books that I buy the books, and then I read them all, and then horrors upon horrors, I mark them up. I dog-ear them. I put things on them. I write in them. They're just totally ruined by the time I get done with it. I know people are like, no, not one of those people, but it's my research book. So that's what I do. Yeah. And I spend about a month just for the preliminary research. And then while I'm doing the research, I make a chart. And I go into more detail with this on my video, but I make a chart of all the information that I found, anything from indigenous plants to food to prayers or comments that they said, things like that. And then I actually start with my draft, and then as my first draft. And then after my first draft, I will go back, and as things are missing, then I will start looking for them. So then I start dropping and I'll finding. So a lot of times it feels like an ongoing process. So maybe the third, fourth draft, when you think you have all the stuff that you need, because there's always that one little thing you're like, what did they call that one little part? And then you spend all the time looking for the name of that one little thing, and then you don't use it.
In England, we call that sod's law. We really do. Jennifer says, I'm horrible at promoting my books. Now, this is something that I touched on recently on a marketing video. And a lot of people do find it easier to promote themselves as a third person, because it takes the spotlight off themselves and they don't feel like they're blowing their own trumpet. How do you find promoting yourself?
It's difficult. It's difficult because I'm not a natural promoter. I'm not a natural marketer. And so I just tend to be, I found that the best thing for me is just to be me. It's just to be me. And so I do kind of more stealth marketing.
Yeah.
So I don't, if you go on my Instagram, there's not going to be a lot of photos of my posts of my books. It'll just be other things. And then once in a while I throw the book in, because I find that's just, I feel more comfortable with that. Once I do have links on my videos on my YouTube where you can go and link and look at stuff. But I just find that's just makes me feel more comfortable than, blasting my books away. I do have just started kind of going through different Facebook groups, and I just probably link maybe 5 posts a day, and I kind of go I circle through all of my my 10 books and then my urban fantasy series. So just the first book of that, and I just kind of cycle through them. And I think it's going to probably take a couple weeks to cycle through all of it at 5 of them a day. So yeah, it's tricky. Some people are much better at marketing. You have to do what's comfortable for you and what you like to do.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's also playing to your strengths as well. Some people are really good at doing imagery and the bookstagram, and they do a fantastic job. Mm-hmm. They have a real eye for a photograph, and there is a big following for that. Whereas, people like you and I, we're going more down the online route and connecting with people on a more one-to-one basis, especially with your YouTube videos. It's just a fantastic way of spreading the word about your books. I can see you reading the comments. Stop
I
it.
am. I'm reading the comments as I go through. When did we get to this one?
You crack me up. You will crack me up. Okay. Ingrid says, Autumn, what is your writing process?
Oh, that's how long you got? I actually have a whole video on that. The process is just, it starts with the research and then the graphs and the charts. And then I make an outline. I'm a huge believer in an outline, not like a 50-page outline, but more like a 3 or 4-page outline. And then I go through the outline. The outline may shift. It may change as I work through the novel. And then I get to the first draft, and then I kind of look at word count. Usually I'm coming in at about 50,000, which is much too short because it's a rough draft. So nowhere near done. Then I go into the second draft, and this is where I really start molding character. And I'm really revealing character, conflict, tone, theme. So that for me is for me the most fun, and I like that. So that's part of the process. And then 3, 4, 5, ad infinitum is just me looking at, at edits, or a lot of times I just want to make the sentence better. So even though I might have added in some setting and revealed some character in the second draft, I go back on the third draft. I'm like, oh, that reads a little bit slow or sloppy or boring. And so I will change the sentence up. Yeah. So I'm big on third and fourth sentence draft revisions of the actual sentences themselves. So that's pretty much, yeah. And then when I'm all done, I give it to some people to read, and then I give it to my formatter if it's indie, and if it's trad, then I give it to my editor.
And do you obviously we know that you outline your books, which is very important for you. How detailed do you go? I mean, do you really plan critical scenes and stuff like that, or do you just do the basic outline? I
follow the story arc. So I know that, I've got all this rising action and I need to keep up in the ante. Need to keep making the stakes higher. And so I always know my beginning, and I always know my end, and I always know what the critical scene is that I need to do, and all the scenes in between. I usually add some other scenes going up, but normally, to me, it's as I'm writing, things will come to me. They will just come to me, or I'll be, on page 50 and I'm like, oh, you know what? Then there needs to be some foreshadowing there in chapter 2. So I'll quick go back, and I won't even write the foreshadowing. I'll just say, foreshadow this, and then go back. So that's kind of a bit of the process.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Thank you for sharing that, darling. Edward says you learn from mistakes. That's for sure. Absolutely. I've made a few myself. Nancy's joined us. Hi, Nancy. She says, hello, ladies. I love to write, but I think I will stick with writing reviews. And she does write beautiful reviews, I have to say, because I'm a recipient. So thank you very much, darling.
Nancy, reviewers are gold. And I've got the reviewers, they write so beautifully, and they put so much thought and heart and love into those reviews. And, you just want to cry a lot of times. You're like, somebody really spent so much time writing about my book and reviewing it. And I love reviewers. And some of them they're beautifully written, and they'll say things you're like, yeah, I guess I did do that in my novel. So, I mean, it's amazing. What reviewers find, because when I go on blog tours with books, the different reviewers will, find different elements and things that they'll discuss. And that is, it's fun for me to read. Also always a little bit scary to read that. Right. But I'm also always amazed by sometimes what they'll find or what they'll notice. And that always makes me happy, because I've told people, I put little Easter eggs in, in computer programs, I put little Easter eggs in my books, and a lot of reviewers and readers will find them. And if you don't, doesn't matter, but a lot of the reviewers will actually find them. They'll say, oh, I noticed the food that she ate was, they'll say something else. So that's kind of fun.
That is so lovely. And you're absolutely right. I don't think people realize how appreciative we are of reviews, because they not only is it nice to get feedback, but also it's quite nice how different people connect with your different characters. You tend to find that somebody will always connect with somebody in your story, don't you?
Absolutely. And that's always fun to have them pick out something about the character that I guess because we're the writers, we just innately do it. But then you find somebody, they pick out that cool nugget, that cool golden nugget, and they write about it. You're like, ooh, I love it.
It is awesome. It is absolutely awesome. Edward says, Barnes and Nobles in Vegas, all 3 are basically shut down, closed. I know all 3, sad. I think that's the most heartbreaking thing at the moment, isn't it? Not only are we not able to actually meet and greet our readers, but the fact that it's affecting so many small bookstores that are literally just going out of business. I think it's going to take quite a while for that to remedy itself, even when things go slightly back to normality. Is that one thing that you really missed, is actually going to?
Yeah, there was a bookstore in Laguna Beach, which is about 45 minutes from me, and they did romance books. And I had just kind of driven by them, oh, stop, romance bookstore. And I went in, and I'm like, hey, I'm an author. And I gave them my card and all my cred. And then they got my books in. And then because Southern California basically has been shut down, and they had opened 2 months before the shutdown, they were shut down. They're hoping to come back afterwards. I hope so, because they had a lot of, they loved indie authors, and they loved local authors, and loved having the local authors come in. So I'm really hoping, they still have their site, and you can still buy the books on their site. I'm hoping they actually come back. It was so cool. They had a purple couch. Who doesn't love a purple couch in there?
Right. I know. Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed. Absolutely. And hope they can come back from it. We've got Rochelle, who's just joined us. She says she's in Scotland. Glad to be watching us.
A friend of mine just told me she wants to go on some kind of castle tour on a train through Scotland, and I said, I'm in.
Oh my gosh, do you realize how many castles and stuff there are in Scotland?
I want to see them all.
There's a lot. And also, fun fact, there's a lot of haunted places. So you could actually go on like a haunted tour if it's opened. We'll see.
Also on my bucket list.
Rochelle says, great cover. I'm not sure which one she means because they're all fabulous. So it could be any of them. But that is so cool. Edward says the Old West in America is his kryptonite. Love reading about that era. Creeps into my writing often. Now, that's a good point, actually. Which, out of all your books, which has been your favorite historical era?
My favorite era?
Yeah,
I get so invested in my books. I love them all when I'm doing, like, I love them all.
They're your babies.
Yeah, I just like, I immerse myself in them. So when somebody says, favorite, I'm like, I don't know. I love them all when I was doing them. And it just, I don't think I have a favorite. It's like, it's like a favorite kid. Even though your kid thinks you have a favorite, you really don't.
I tell all my kids they're my favorites, but not in front of each other. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You are all my favorites.
I guess they're all my favorites, I guess.
I love it. I love it. Jennifer says, how do you go about choosing someone to do your audiobooks?
Okay, Jennifer, that is a great question. And actually, I just hooked up with somebody who has gone through the process, and she's going to do a YouTube video with me. So I'm hoping that will come out in a few weeks. But for my traditional books, that wasn't something I had any say over. That was just between the Tantor Media or whoever. Yeah, Tantor Media did it, and the publishing house. Then Tantor, actually, before I got those deals, Tantor contacted me for Impaler's Wife. So I didn't have to do anything. I just said yes. And they said, we'll send you over some samples of
voice
acting. Thank you. Of voices. And I picked the one I like. She did a fabulous job and, signed the contract, and I got to keep all the money.
Fantastic. It is fantastic.
That was cool. So I have a friend who actually made her own audio, and she's going to be going through the process and the do's and don'ts and things that happened. But the person who did the Impaler's Wife, she's actually on my Instagram, and we like each other's stuff. And I love her voice for this. She did an amazing job.
Oh, that's lovely. Just so you know, Jennifer, if you go through AXM, which is part of Amazon, you can actually do royalty share. So you can actually upload your book and actually have the voiceover artist audition to actually read your book. And you can do royalty share, which means that basically nothing up front. So you don't have to pay any money up front. And then you share the royalties, which means that, you got 3 different parties, you, the voiceover artist, and AXM, who are all invested in making your audiobook successful. So it could be a good thing. Edward says, how long have you been on the keyboard?
Like the piano keyboard?
I'm assuming Edward might have to clarify this, but he might mean, how long have you been?
Yeah. Oh, writing. I started with my urban fantasy, so that was maybe 9 years ago. I'll have to go look and see what the title page says. It's
been that long, Edward. It's been that long.
Yeah, probably about 9 years. 9 years. So I do work full time. So I would put out, the beginning was slow going. I could only put out like a book a year. I don't know if I'm that much faster now, but because I just I'm a faster writer now and faster at all of that. But now I just added more to the mix with the YouTube channel and more of the promotion stuff. So I just feel like even though I got faster, other stuff is coming in.
She says that, but she actually released 2 books last year, 2 big novels. You won't blow your own trumpet, so I'll blow it for you. Leslie says audio erotic. Woo! Oh, Leslie's excited.
Good.
I've got to tell you, you need to check them out. Definitely. Ingrid says, is it possible to get auditions on AXM? Yes. Yeah. Just load your book, put it out there, and then people who are interested in your genre or the style of your book or whatever, they will actually contact you and ask if they can do an interview for you and a read, so you can actually audition them, which is absolutely fantastic. Oh, bless her. Oh, she said it is possible. It's me reading it wrong. I'm sorry. Sorry, Ingrid. She said also on findawayvoices.com. Interesting, Ingrid. I've never heard of those. So I will have to make a note of that and look it up later and do a little bit of research. Theodore's joined us. He says, happy Monday to you, sweethearts. Thank you for joining us, darling. Ingrid says second draft is her favorite too. She likes that bit. She does indeed. Edward says, I just published a novel called Once Upon a Time in Nepal. I went to number 8 on Amazon, but cost me 4 months of my life finding out about that beautiful country. Research is essential to fend off the book nerds. Is that something you've had to deal with? Somebody questioning any of your historical elements in your books, Autumn?
I actually don't read the reviews except for the editorial reviews. So I'll read my Kirkus reviews. I will read the book blogger reviews. So I haven't had anybody say anything really about that. I do a lot of research and it is historical fiction. So
yeah.
I mean, I do the best that I can with my research, but ultimately nobody was there.
Exactly. Nobody knows for sure. Exactly.
And I try to pick out the indigenous animals and species and what they wrote. So I haven't had anybody say, hey, they didn't have this at the time. Okay. I have to be mindful when you write that they did whatever you're writing about, they did actually have. So, if they can't look out a window if there actually was no glass window back then.
Yeah. No, I agree. Theodore says, I love to write a story about my life when I was younger, and I'd written a book about 3 hunting seasons in one book, never published the book. Well, I think you need to, Theodore. You don't know unless you do it. Life is too short. Absolutely. Josephine says she had a good review today and her husband said that it was too long, but it was well written and it meant a lot. So her answer was no. I think any review is a good review, isn't it, Autumn? At the end of the day.
Is there such thing as a too long review?
No, I think it means that they're more invested in your book if you get a really long review.
Yeah, I would just be, like I said, I don't look at my reviews. Beth already knows that. She's like, I don't want to look at my reviews.
I tell her when she gets a good review, I'm like, Autumn, have you seen that review? It's fantastic.
I just don't look because I did in the beginning with my urban fantasy, and then I'm just too emotional. So I don't need the highs and the lows, and I just want to move along and do what I want to do and not be particularly, impacted by the review. So I don't really do anything with them at all. Like I said, I do look like at the Kirkus reviews and Midwest reviews, the kind of official or the book bloggers reviews, because I'm paying for the book blog. So the reviewers will post the blog and I'll look at the review and I'll try to grab some lines out of it. But people are so different. If you look at it, and you've heard this before, if you look at other big time authors and big time books, they slam books for no reason, or you're just like, what? So that's why I just said, and I for the same reason I don't go on Goodreads. So that's what works for me. I know it doesn't work for a lot of people. That's why I always preface things like that. This is what I do, but everybody's different.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It is down to what makes you more comfortable, really, isn't it? Let's have a look. Oh, Nancy says, thank you and you're welcome. You're so lovely, Nancy. You're absolutely fantastic. You really are. Okay. Rochelle says, we have so many castles. I've got to say, there's so much history in Scotland. I don't think we could drag Autumn out of there because she'd be so intrigued. She'd want to stay and write another novel.
I would. But you know what? I don't think I would want to handle the Scottish accent at all.
It's a tough one. It's such a strong accent that even I struggle sometimes if they're really broad to pick up on words. It's like going back to South Carolina, and some of the people there had really strong accents. All I could hear was blah, 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 and I couldn't understand it. Not because they weren't speaking clearly, but the accent was so broad. It's absolutely crazy. Rochelle says, "Come over when it's safe. It'd be fun to show you around." You've got
I will.
A volunteer tour guide. I think that's lovely.
Too. I've got 2 tour guides.
Exactly.
How would you be able to fly?
Can't. It'd be absolutely awesome. Josephine says, "I meant the lady's husband, not mine." So it was the reviewer's husband that said.
Oh, okay.
It can't. Never too long. Oh, hang on. I think we've done that one. Let's have a look. Rochelle says, "You would fall in love with a Highland coos." I don't know. Rochelle, what is the Highland coos? I've not heard of that. You've been absolutely amazing. And I know that you're offering a free ebook or signed paperback for our viewers who are going to share your interview, which is absolutely fantastic. So everybody that's watching, don't forget, when we're finished, please share Autumn's interview, because you will go into a draw to win one of her fabulous books. The choice is yours. Go on to Autumn's author page. Everywhere, because you are everywhere. And you can check out Autumn's books and see which one you'd like if you're the winner. So that is absolutely fantastic. I just want to announce as well, we've actually got winners from last week, Autumn, which is fantastic. We've got Josephine Wrightson, who I interviewed last week. She said the winners for her draw for sharing her author interview is Leanna in Australia, Shaz in England, Bernetta Rivers, and also Starla Carr. So we have 4 winners for Josephine's giveaway for sharing. So please message Josephine so she can actually send you her, so she can get your address, and she'll be sending out beautiful handmade and personalized bookmarks, beautiful leather bookmarks. So fantastic. And Valerie says her winner for her giveaway is Shaz. You've won quite a few books because she found out you've got COVID and you're in quarantine. So she's feeling really sorry for you right now, and she's going to send you some book love. So please message her as well. Autumn, you've been an absolute joy.
And so have you. Wonderful as usual.
The time goes too quick, doesn't it?
It does. So all of these comments on the side, I can answer them all?
They're going to stay they're going to stay on the stream. So they will be right underneath the video. You can answer at your leisure. Anybody who can't watch us live and who watches later on after work or whatever, they will also put comments as well. So if you wouldn't mind staying, keep having a look for the next week or so, just to keep replying to new comments. And to make it easier, please tag Autumn if that's possible, because then she can go straight to the comment and answer really quickly without trying to find you. But thank you so much for today, my darling.
Thank you for having me.
I hope we can get together for coffee again soon.
Definitely soon. 2 weeks.
Yes, 2 weeks.
Unless you go get your test.
It's going to be a long 2 weeks.
Take the test. Bam! It'll tell you if you're negative.
Oh, that's a very good idea, actually. Yeah. I will keep you posted, my darling. Okay. Thank you so much, darling. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Don't forget to keep posted for the next Witty Writers Show, and we will see you very soon. Bye, everyone.
Goodbye. Thank you. Thanks for coming.